intention to do just that for a couple of reasons. One, the bulk of all of these reports actually supports the elimination of parking minimums. Secondly, when I looked into these types of bylaws, I couldn't find anything in support of the status quo. Not a PowerPoint slide, not a planning textbook. No level of expertise actually supports the status quo and the amplification of parking. When I looked at the origin story of our existing parking minimums, at best I could get a hint that it was from the 1950s. In other words, when most people in this room weren't even born yet. And then if I look at authoritative accounts like Donald Shoup, who asks where do minimum parking requirements come from, nobody knows. Again, what I found is the automobile industry and the lobby that they were able to secure on various councils in the United States put into place these requirements. What you do find are headlines like parking destroys cities, and they actually make worse urban life and suburban life. Again, we're seeing smaller communities like the city of Kingston, as well as larger urban centers, move towards a more progressive, post-war era planning model. And I think this is consistent with a variety of overarching plans that we've advanced. I think it's also important to remember things that we've also committed to, which is removing red tape and any barriers to development. I'm not always in favor of that so-called invisible hand, but in this case I am. This is an obstacle, and frankly I hear it more from the social and affordable housing development community who are forced in certain circumstances to add parking where they know it's not requirement. I think what we'll see in reality is a zero starting point, and those developers that understand the market that is Regina, which is you have 2 cars per person, they'll advance that to a point of absurdity. I've seen some developments come forward with more parking stalls than people could possibly live in that unit. If there's a parking concern in the suburban areas, it's that you can't actually park on the street because there are so many driveways that prohibit access to even street parking. It's effectively a privatization of the streetscape. That's my experience when I go visit some of my colleagues, and unless they have a driveway, I can't legally park anywhere because there's not enough space between the actual driveways and homes. So I think there's more reasons to get rid of this. We've heard from geographers, planning experts, city staff. We've seen guidance from other communities, the sustainability framework. At best, we see some complaints that at some point it's kind of hard to find a place to park that's 3 feet away from my door, and I'm not sure that's sufficient. Even in the downtown, I have a standing bet that if I can't find parking in that community, I'll pay you $50. There is not a time that I've ever been downtown when I cannot find a place to park. That is the most concentrated, dense area of our community. So I don't buy this argument that we're really in a shortage at any point here. I think if we're serious about creating a modern city with a modern urban planning concept, this is a place to start. If we want to get more radical down the road, parking maximums would really be impactful. We're not even there yet. I think this sets us up for intensification in certain parts of the city, which we've committed to do, and as well as a number of other objectives that we've set out of the council. I think the parking minimum standard that we have now is outdated. I'd like to see it completely obliterated. I'm going to vote against this and put my motion on if it should be defeated.